There's no easy way to break off any relationship. It's like the mozzarella cheese on a good slice of pizza. No matter how far you pull the slice away from your mouth, it just gets thinner and longer but never snaps. That's how the relationship should be. Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk on the relationships which in success factors are termed as associations. The syllabus includes the readout on topic, and since it is important to be familiar with the jargon, we will go through some of the associated terminology, which would also include the types of associations before we start creating them. This video is intended to the beginners and the amateurs, and I advise you to watch it to the full length to make the most of it. Well, my name is Muhammad Ali, and I am a certified SAP HCM and SuccessFactors consultant with 15 years of work experience. I do have my participations in SAP events like SAP Sapphire, SAP Insider, and you may also find me in webinars. Currently, I am associated with infobracket, an adult group of organized subject experts engaged in imparting the knowledge on SAP and other ERPs. If you are new, please do subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so that you be notified as and when we upload new videos. We are glad that we are on social media platform as well, so please do follow us there as well. So let's begin. What is an association? The relationship between objects is called as an association. These associations are classified in the following categories in SAP SuccessFactors. Before we go creating them, we will try and know the terminology we come across while creating these associations. Number one is the objects. Well, the objects are used to set up the data that can be shared across the entire company. Like say the object that hold personal and say the employment details are called as employee objects. Or say the object that holds organization pay and job details are called as the foundation objects. For associations, we shall be using the foundation objects. Hence, the content of this video shall be restricted mere to foundation objects. When we talk about the foundation objects, I have to tell you that starting from say November of 2014, the standard deliverable foundation objects were migrated to metadata framework objects, say the MDF objects. Now these MDF objects are called as the generic objects, or simply put, the GOs. The one that still remained here and did not get migrated are called as the legacy foundation objects, or the FOs. Now the geos, or the generic objects, are created from the managed data. Anything that we create from managed data are the geos. And the ones that we create from the managed organization pay and job structure are the FOs, or the legacy foundation objects. The second one is the name. Anything that is created new needs a name, right? Similarly, The associations that we are creating are the new one here, and they do need the recognition. And how do we recognize them? We name them. The third one is the multiplicity. Multiplicity is the cardinality. Okay, so it describes the relationship with respect to the number of dependent objects and the referenced object. This means that the cardinality between a child object and a parent object. Now, before we go and know what is a child and a parent object, let me tell you that there are two types of multiplicities. Number one is 1 to 1, wherein one object is associated with one object. And the second one is 1 to many, wherein one object is associated with multiple objects. That way. In success factors, the direction of this association is from bottom to up. Now that means from a child object to a parent object. Let me give you an example. Say, if we want to create an association between a company, which is your legal entity, and the business unit, the business units are here somewhere at the second level. This is your legal entity and this is your business unit. Now, if we want to create an association between a business unit and a legal entity, then we define these associations in the business unit, which means the business unit is a child while the legal entity is a parent, which means we are going from bottom to up. So that is why the direction of the association is from bottom to up. Then comes the fourth one, which is the types of associations. There are three types of associations. Number one is valid when the objects are independent, which means you can create the objects independently and then you can do the assignments or the associations. In such case, you can go with valid one. The second one is the composite. When the objects are dependent, say for example, when the child object is dependent on a parent object, then you go for the composite. The third one is join by column. Now, the type of association is neither valid one nor the composite. In such a case, we go with the join by column. Since this is rarely used, hence we are not covering this. in this video. Now that we know the terminology and the differences between a geo and a FO, let me pull this image up here, which should give you a fair idea on which all are the geos and which all are the FOs. In green ones you see here are the geos or the generic objects, or say the metadata framework objects, and the left ones which are in red are the foundation objects, which are the legacy foundation objects. All right. Now let's get back to the classifications. An example for a geo to geo association would be an association between any of the two greens from this table. In this video, we shall learn to create an association between, say, a cost center and a business unit. Cost center being a child object, while the business unit is the parent object. And then we shall see how to create an association between a geo and a FO. Uh, we must use the wrappers here. As an example, we shall do an association between a pay group, which is a child object, and a pay grade, which is the parent object. The association in rest of the two classifications is done via corporate data model and shall be explained in the part 2 of this video. In the meanwhile, let's go into the system and start creating the first twos. Okay, so now that we are into the system, let me show you how to create an association between a generic object and a generic object. For that, we have already decided that we are going to create an association between a cost center and a business unit. I repeat, cost center will be the child object while the business unit will be the parent object. But before we go creating, let me show you what all associations can be created between a cost center. So to check that, I go to manage data, wherein we can create the objects. I try creating a new cost center, and okay, so we can create an association between a cost center and a legal entity. So this is the existing one. We cannot have an association between a cost center and any other object other than the legal entity. Now let's go create an association between a cost center and a business unit. To do that, we go to configure object definitions. We go here and in the search box, we have to select the object definition. In the next search box, what is our child object? That is our cost center. We select the cost center. Like I said, the associations are created at the child object level. I go here, click on make corrections. I go all the way down here to reach to the associations section. We already saw that there is already an existing association that is created, is between a cost center and a legal entity. Here we are going to create an association between a cost center and a business unit. In our terminologies, I have already explained you what is name, multiplicity, destination object, type, and few more terminologies. The name I'm going to give is business unit. The multiplicity I'm gonna click is one to many. Okay, before I go further, I've seen this many of the people are pressing on this suffix that comes as cust underscore and whatever you type here. Okay, so many people, spend time explaining that. Nothing to worry about that. The prefix which comes as cust underscore that defines that the this association is a custom association. Okay, so nothing other than that. Now I come to the destination object. I've told you that our destination object will always be the parent object, which is our business unit. The type of association we are going to create will be valid one, and I've already explained you on that as well. I go into further details. Okay, all the mandatory fields that are defined with these asterisks are already filled in here. Destination object and source object are usually used when we select the third type of the association, which is joined by column, but now we are doing an valid one. I ignore that. Is transient. Okay, so this is a little confusing field. Okay, is transient. If we keep no, there are two options, yes and no. If we keep no, then the association that we are creating here is saved in your database, and when you save this in your database you can use it in future also. Okay, maybe in your reportings. And if you select S here, it will not be saved in your database. Okay, so now my intentions are to use it in the future as well, so I ignore this and I keep that as no. So I'm not gonna enter any of the data here. I'm gonna just leave this as blank and we'll come back to this later. I'll click on the done button and then I come all the way and I click on save. The system should prompt us with a message over here. I go back to manage data to see if the association we created is successfully saved or no. The association we had created was between a cost center and a business unit. So my child is cost center. All right. This is the cost center, and this is an association we can make with the legal entity which was readily available, and this is the new one which we created a moment back, right? So this is successfully got created now. So any new cost center you create from now on, you can associate that cost center with a legal entity as well as with a business unit. Let me go back to the configure object definition. I'm still at the cost center. I go here and I click on make corrections. Remember we had kept a couple fields blank. So I come back to my association to the business unit. I click on details again so that I go inside it. Now, the condition field here. Okay, why do we need this? Say for example, if you have a specific cost center, okay, and your intentions are the association between a cost center and a business unit should happen. The system should allow you to make an association between that specific cost center and any of the business units, meaning the field which we saw here. Let me go back. This field, I'm into the manage data now. This option should be available only for the specific cost centers. In that case, what I do here is I use the external name. I go here, external code, in fact. Okay, this is the field I'm going to use. Remember that I am in the configure object definition. I go all the way down here. I've already copied this external code. I go all the way down to my associations field. I click on the details. I scroll down to the field definition. I field ID, in fact, I paste the external code that I had copied. Now, say for example, I have a cost center. I'm back in the manage data, and I have a cost center which is this is my cost center. So the association with the business unit should happen only if we choose this cost center. So if that is your condition, then I copy the external code of this cost center. I go back to the configure object definition screen, and in the value field I type my external code of the cost center. I save, I say it as done, and then I click on save. The system again prompts me with the message which says it is successfully saved. I go back to my manage data, and now I try to create a new cost center. The option should not be available here because this is my new cost center, right? This is not the cost center that we have put in the condition field. Okay, but in case if I select that specific cost center, and for which I try to make the corrections, it should give me an option of the business unit. So this is how a association between a generic object and a generic object is created. Now let me go back to our other case wherein we have planned to create an association between a generic object and a foundation object. So your generic object is a pay group here, while your foundation object will be pay grade. The child object is the pay group and the parent object is your pay grade. The difference here is one is your MDF object while the other one is your legacy foundation object. Okay, so how do we do that? I go back to configure object definition. Here I select my child object which is a pay group. I select pay group. I click on take action, make correction. Everything remains same. There is one little catchy thing that we have to focus on. There are no associations created between a pay group and a pay grade. So the name I'm going to give is pay grade. So it should come up with a suffix as cust underscore. The multiplicity would be one to many. Now, the destination object is our parent object, but here, since this is a typical case wherein the parent object is your legacy foundation object. So, SAP SuccessFactor gives you something called as the wrappers. So we have to use the wrapper when there is an association between a MDF object and a legacy foundation object. So our parent object is a pay grade, so hence I'm using the pay grade wrapper. Now since this is depended because the effective dating is basic here, the type of association I'm going to use is composite. I'm not going to go into the details because I'm not going to enter any of the field criterias or the conditions or the condition values for the sake of demonstration. When you want to have these conditions done, you can do it the same way we did it when we created the association between a generic object and a generic object. So right now I'm not going to do anything. I just leave it as it is there. I go and I save this. Alright, the system again prompted me with a message. I go back to manage data. I try to create a new pay group. And when I try to create a new pay group, it should give me an association field for the pay grade. So from now on, whenever we create a pay group, we have to associate that with the pay grade. Now, why I say we have to is because the association field has turned out to be mandatory, and the reason behind turning this field to be mandatory is the type of association. Remember, the type of association we did was composite, hence the field turned out to be a mandatory field. So in this system, whenever we create a pay group, the association with pay grade is mandatory. So that is how the association between a generic object and a foundation object is created in SuccessFactors. All right. So to summarize, in this video, we learned about the basics of associations and their classifications, along with creating the associations between the two generic objects and one generic object and one foundation object. The video also has a part two of it, in which the association between a foundation object to a generic object and a foundation object to a foundation object is explained. Please do watch that as well. On closing note, I thank you for watching the video. Hope you got to learn the things here. Please do like and comment the video, and for more such videos, please do subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon. Do follow us on the social media platform as well. Meet you in the next video. Until then, goodbye, and please do take care of yourselves.